Mass immigration enforcers have swept through American cities in the months since President Donald Trump took office, using flashbangs during restaurant sweeps, slamming people's heads into the ground, violently arresting gardeners on video. Oh, did I say million? Sorry, 175 billion with a B. Apologies. Communism. You like the weekend? Thank a union for that. Thank some communists for that, okay? Dude, this country is so fucking cooked. It is so incredibly cooked. We're so we're so fucking cooked. We're being cooked, but we are extra cooked. Obviously, this is devastating, as I warned yesterday. It is a completely psychotic wealth distribution bill. It is one of the worst bills. It is one of the most fascist bills. It is terrifying. America winning. We're winning. Oh, we're winning so hard. I can't wait. 17 million people kicked out of health insurance as a consequence of the underfunding of Medicaid. 17 million Americans. And we don't even know the full extent of the bill yet, because they basically were adding stuff. They were writing the bill up until the last moment where they voted on it. So we don't even know the full extent of it yet. But as we parse through, there are obviously a lot of the high-level things that we've discussed. Medicaid cuts, work requirements for SNAP and Medicaid in general. But then also simultaneously, a shit ton of funding for the American military, but for ICE in particular. That's a really terrifying amount of money. Why do they want to overfund ICE like this? Well, because ICE's major hurdle at this point, in order to do these like concentration camps, in order to operate as the Gestapo secret police force that Trump wants it to be, they don't have enough funding. They don't have enough people to work at ICE. Okay? Rural hospitals are gone. Underserved neighborhoods where the hospitals require Medicaid expenditures, done. Okay? At a time when rural hospitals are already in a place of crisis. Okay? It is over. It is super over. America is done. America is extra done. America was already done. It's super done now. Okay? Oh my Lord. What is their end goal here? What do you mean? Fascism, 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 shock doctrine, fascism. Okay? Privatize everything. Privatize everything. Kill the working poor. Make sure that their lives are fucking horrible. And when they speak out, take away their citizenship. It's not happening yet. And I've been warning about this, but this is the final stage. This is how it has always worked throughout history. Okay? That is where we're at right now. We are doing domestic shock doctrine. We have been doing it since 9/11, but this is kicking it into high gear, basically hitting the last level. Okay? Yeah, Alligator Alcatraz is another like quirky fascist side of this. Would you have expected us to get here as quickly as we did? Feels nuts. Yes. Trump is greatly accelerating America's fascist demise, but yeah, I mean it's what, 6 months at this point. We're nearing 6 months. We bombed Iran. The genocide of the Palestinians are continuing. We are accelerating weapons transfers to Israel. Hasan has been calling this for several years, and every lib has been saying he's been exaggerating. I know. And we're here. Where are the liberals? We got concentration camps with fucking alligators on them. The lie that undocumented migrants are actually a national security issue has basically taken root, so much so that people don't even question it at this point, and that lie needs a solution. The reason we bombed Iran is to distract people from the Genius Act as they passed while all this was going on. No, dude. No, that's not the reason. Okay? The reason why we bombed Iran is so we take attention away is an insane way to approach this. No, we bombed Iran because Israel wanted us to bomb Iran. Okay? That's why we bombed Iran. It's not a fucking distraction. Everything's a distraction. Bombing Iran is like depending on how Iran responds, is perhaps more consequential than even this bill in the short term. Okay, that's crazy. I feel like we're going to spend the rest of our lives trying to undo everything in this bill alone. Stuff like Medicare for all is taking a backseat to just defending the minimum we already had. Our imaginations shrink. Yes, because when Republicans come to power, they do everything they can with these kinds of budget reconciliation bills to undermine any kind of amenities that the working poor got in the past like 100 years or so. And they do it successfully every single time they're in power. And then the Democrats don't even claw back any of those gains. Like they don't even restore the normal order once they are in power. This is what is also known as the ratchet effect. This is where we're at. Where would you go live that's better? And they aren't concentration camps. They're not going to pull people's eyes out or gas them or kill them. They're just holding them until they can go back to that country where they came from. This is okay. I hope you understand something here. You're never going to understand this reality because you probably are completely oblivious to history. This is exactly what the average German nationalist said about the Jews. They were like, listen, these guys represent a national security threat. It's perfectly valid to take away their citizenship, and it's perfectly valid to put them in a concentration camp as we move them away. Okay, as we move them away. We're not gonna like, claw their eyes out. I don't know why that's like, we're not gonna kill them. This is how the Holocaust literally happened. Okay, I'm sick and tired of explaining it. Like, what is the point? What is the point of learning about history if you are just not going to learn about history at all, or take away any lessons from it whatsoever, or ever use it as a decent analogy to what's going on currently? What the hell is happening here? Okay. Dachau was one of the first concentration camps built by Nazi Germany. It's the longest running one, opening on the 22nd of March, 1933. The camp was initially intended to intern Hitler's political opponents, which consisted of communists, social democrats, and other dissidents. It is located on the grounds of an abandoned munitions factory northeast of the medieval town of Dachau. After its opening by Heinrich Himmler, its purpose was enlarged to include forced labor and eventually the imprisonment of Jews, Romani, Germans, and Austrians that the Nazi Party regarded as criminals, and finally, foreign nationals from countries that Germany occupied or invaded. The Dachau camp system grew to include nearly 100 subcamps, which were mostly work camps. Arbeitskommandos were located throughout southern Germany and Austria. Prisoners lived in constant fear of the brutal treatment of terror detention, including standing cells, floggings, the so-called tree or pole hanging, and standing at attention for extremely long periods. There were 32,000 documented deaths at the camp and thousands that are undocumented. Approximately 10,000 to 30,000 prisoners were sick at the time of liberation. In its inception, all of these concentration camps were there to concentrate political dissidents, communists, socialists, and eventually, past the point of the Nuremberg race laws, they were there to concentrate people whose citizenship was being removed, okay? Whose citizenship was being called into question, saying Jews do not have loyalty to Germany. They are a national security threat. Do you understand? And their citizenship was being removed. Do you understand? They became nationless. They became stateless. Dachau served as a prototype and a model for other German concentration camps that followed. Almost every community in Germany had members taken away to these camps. The newspaper continually reported the removal of the enemies of the Reich to the concentration camps. As early as 1935, a jingle went around, Lieber Herrgott, mach mich stumm, das ist nicht nach Dachau komm. Dear Lord God, make me dumb silent that I may not to Dachau come. The camp's layout and building plans were developed by Commandant Theodor Icke and were applied to all later camps. Okay. The entrance of the gate famously had Arbeit macht frei, work makes one free. Work shall set you free. That was the phrase outside of the concentration camp. Also, the meaning of concentration camps has been lost on people. Concentration camps were more like brutal prison labor camps, while death camps like Auschwitz and Birkenau were places of mass slaughter. People died en masse in the concentration camps, but their sole purpose wasn't to fucking kill people. Yes. The initial extermination measures were presented as an act of mercy to spare the constraint from the inhuman conditions of the camps. When ICE victims in this country die in captivity from heat exhaustion or overwork or starvation, It is the beginning of their manufacturing of consent for mass murder. I have straight up said that this will be what will happen. The Jews who lived in Germany were rounded up because they were Jewish, not because they came to Germany illegally. Brother, the difference between someone who has lived on U.S. soil for 5-10 years without getting the proper authorization, while simultaneously having a work clearance, not having the proper documentation to be a full-blown citizen, is just paperwork. Okay? That's what the government decides is someone who is illegal versus someone who is legal. Okay? Like, for example, your disgusting inbred parents that fucking came here multiple generations ago by ship were afforded a benefit that these newcomers have not been afforded. Okay? So when your dumbass crawled out of your ugly ass mother's pussy on U.S. soil to become an American citizen at the moment of birth, and your mother did the same and your father did the same, okay? Even though they were directly related to one another, brother and sister, I suspect, which is precisely the reason why your brain capacity is the way it is, right? They got this benefit. They got the proper authorization at some point in time. Do you understand? We are not doing that to the newcomers, even though they have a de facto work authorization to work here. God, you're condescending. If you consider this to be condescension, I don't know what to fucking tell you, because I tried to explain this politely and he turned around and gave me this fucking short ass, stupid ass fucking answer. Who decides who is legal and who is illegal? Okay? During chattel slavery, black people could not be free. Okay? Freeing a black person was considered illegal. Slavery, on the other hand, was very much legal. Okay? The government decides who is illegal and legal. Do you understand? So, just like in Nazi Germany, the government decide Jews illegal, okay? No longer citizens of Germany. And the reason why they justified this was because of a period of dehumanization, lies, the economic volatility that Germany was experiencing was directly reoriented back to Jews, okay? Kind of like the economic volatility that Americans are currently experiencing is directly reoriented back to undocumented migrants. You feel me? You know how the Trump administration says unjustifiably that migrants are the reason why there's so much crime, there's so much uncertainty that you can't pay for your rent or whatever? Not to mention these dumb fucks who want birthright to end now. How will babies be given or even determined if they're citizens? Right now, it's with a social security number, but who will decide this? The Social Security Department is gutted. I know. It's full-blown chaos. And it's actually really interesting because it's so chaotic that it undermines the American government. It undermines stability. It ruins everything. And I am shocked. I'm constantly in awe of how little these guys seemingly care about keeping things going. Where it's just a hope and a dream that I guess is going to keep things going. Also, the Trump administration has obviously talked about denaturalizing American citizens as well. There's also a new list that is coming down the wire as well, that will have a list of all documented American citizens. Thank God we also gave hundreds of millions of dollars to Palantir so that we can do mass surveillance on the list of American citizens. Once we decide who is a political dissident and who is not a political dissident, we can also denaturalize those people, at which point we will have moved fully into the post-Nuremberg laws style Nazi Germany governance, and chatters will probably still be yelling at me when I say, this is exactly what happened in Nazi Germany. They'll go, dude, 6 million Jews haven't been slaughtered yet. It's like, yeah. Yet. Okay? The insane amount of money that is going to funding ICE in this bill is going to funding ICE in this bill because the Trump administration, as I have said over and over again, uses Customs and Border Patrol and ICE as his secret loyalist police, secret police service. Okay? They do warrantless search and seizure. They do not abide by constitutional protections. They do not care about the constitutional protections afforded to all citizens and non-citizens alike. Okay? I need people to understand there is a reason why they are funding ICE, because the number one problem with ICE doing mass deportations and setting up concentration camps is money. Okay? They don't have enough money to hire enough people. Okay? Now they have money, and then they will hire people. They will set up new facilities, private prisons, by the way, most likely. Holy shit, your fans are absolutely brain dead. What are you talking about, Lamau? One question, and everyone is experiencing heartbreak. Get a hobby, says Parishu. One of the funniest parts about this is the people that demonstrate blind loyalty to this administration. Why are you demonstrating blind loyalty to this administration at a time when they are literally fucking you? Okay? You are not a super wealthy multimillionaire. Okay? You're not. You are most likely an average American worker. Öyle mi? That's cute. Oh, he's Turkish. Never mind. Okay, well, you know, your opinion is irrelevant. Enjoy the hyperinflation, dipshit. Okay? Suck my dick. Literally, like, this is, in America, we are Turkifying at an alarming rate, and this fucking Turkish moron is in the chat being like, nah, dude, it's fucking awesome. Are you enjoying what's going on in Turkey? You know his ass is not in Turkey, but in Germany, most likely. That chatter is also correct. There's very little likelihood that that dude is in Turkey, because Turks in the chat already know exactly what America's going through, because they fucking went through it in Turkey, and they're still going through it in Turkey. It's always the dumb fuck German Turks who are like pro Erdogan, okay? Erdogan dick riders who are like, oh, dude, shut up. You're overreacting. I don't know what has happened to the German Turks. Not all German Turks, obviously, but some of the fucking German Turks are such hogs. It is incredibly annoying. Also, yeah, when the AfD kicks into power, you will enjoy that remigration, and then you will also get a taste of that Erdogan regime that you fucking voted for consistently. I'm gonna repeat this one more time, okay? If you are a Trump supporter from a rural area, you will no longer have a hospital, okay? You probably already have a hard time going to whatever hospital that exists in your vicinity, but you're double fucked now, because now no more hospitals. If there was no hospitals in a 50-mile region, now there's no hospitals in a 100-mile region. And the ones that remain will unironically be swapped at all times. Okay? It's so cooked. Cutting Medicaid is profoundly stupid. American healthcare already is one of the worst by every metric in comparison to comparable OECD states. American healthcare is unironically worse than much poorer countries that have nationalized systems. And it is going to get even worse now, because these rural hospitals where Trump supporters live, in the areas that Trump supporters live, rely heavily on Medicaid. That is the only way that people can pay for it. Okay? Medicaid is the only way that people can pay for healthcare, because these are places that are impoverished. Okay? Very poor people live in these places. So when there's no funding vehicle for these hospitals, when that expenditure is cut, they will no longer be, they won't be operating. They will not be able to operate. It's that simple. Why are Republicans killing their supporters? They don't care. They don't care because Republicans serve capital openly. Okay? What do you mean? They directly assassinated a major chunk of their base of support with boomers. The boomer vote has shifted to the Democratic side. If you noticed in the last couple of elections, like it changed a little bit. And I think the last election, the gains made by boomers wasn't necessarily made on the virtue of like the Democratic Party making a better argument than the Republicans did for the boomers. It's because all the fucking right-wing boomers died. They died. They killed them. But it didn't matter because there's a unlimited amount of stupid people in this country that'll still vote for the fucking Republican Party. When Mitch McConnell was told about the calls coming in telling him not to cut Medicaid, his response was, they'll get over it. I cannot think. I just like, I can't think of another instance where they're just so transparent about how little they care about the working poor. And a part of the reason why a part of the reason why there is no real momentum behind the Democrats is because the Democrats don't actually convincingly tell a story that they're on the side of the fucking working class. And this is precisely the reason why when the election cycle comes around, the Republican demons get to lie actively to their fucking base of support and even pick up low propensity voters aggressively because the Democrats are also servile to corporate interests. Sure, Democrats won't pass a package like this. Never, okay? They would never do that. 100%. This is what I mean when I say, of course, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are different, okay? Especially when it comes to domestic policies, okay? But if the Democrats' alternative vision for America is basically a watered-down version of this, then obviously people are going to go for the full thing. They're going to go for the full-strength soda as opposed to the diet soda. This is why I'm so fucking critical of the Dems, okay? This is why I get so mad about the Democratic Party, because they are not a true opposition party. Because I want them to win so that this doesn't fucking happen. Yeah, 60% of nursing homes' income comes from Medicaid, by the way. They are melting the poor, the working poor, and the old, okay? Once again, they do not care. And this isn't like the dog catches the car moment, because it clearly doesn't matter. It clearly doesn't matter, because if there is no true opposition to this, if there isn't like a united front and a real difference, if there is no one on the other side, if there aren't like 1,000 different Zoran Mamdanis that bloom as a consequence of this devastation, and the Democrats are still operating on the Hakeem Jeffries notion of politics, the Chuck Schumer notion of politics, then Americans are just going to get more and more angry. And in that volatility, as we have seen in the past couple of decades, they become incredibly easy to manipulate. They become more and more angry at like random people. They become scared of their own fucking shadows. Do you not understand? This is what I've been screaming about. This is precisely the reason why simply sitting around and expecting the Americans to come to terms with like this economic devastation is idiotic. It's dangerous. 50% of individuals over the age of 75 and 2/3 of those over 85 are on Medicaid. 60% of all nursing home residents receive care funded by Medicaid. Long-term nursing home care is funded by Medicaid, okay? These are people who have Medicare, but also in order to get the proper funding for long-term nursing home care, they get Medicaid. What do we do with the old people? Do we just kill them? Do we just melt them? What are they going to do? Also, in incredibly expected news, the Senate Republicans bought Hawley off by including RECA, which he's been trying to get attached to anything for 3 years. While it's true that the RECA will benefit Missourians, the Medicaid cuts will harm them. What's Hawley's plan to reverse them? Who knows? RECA is a generational legislation for Missouri, and I will finally deliver justice for survivors in the St. Louis region. And when this reconciliation bill is signed into law, Missouri will also see new healthcare funding and big tax cuts for working families. I call on the House to quickly pass the legislation and send it to President Trump's desk. Josh Hawley, remember, Mr. Populist, Mr. Right Populism. Remember how much he talked about how we can't do a single dime. We can't have a single dime cut from Medicaid. We can't have any sort of Medicaid cuts. Dog, you are a senator of one of the fucking poorest, one of the poorest states in the goddamn nation. Do you know how much your fucking state relies on these social safety nets for survival? Everyone fighting for their own state interest while selling out others will accelerate state succession. How close is the U.S. to becoming a real life Hunger Games? I don't know. I mean, this is once again more impactful than 100 9/11s. Okay, this is the Onion joke about, Osama bin Laden just kicks back. Al Qaeda just kicks back and watches America collapse in and of itself. This is why I've also said, if you want to truly destroy the country, doing a 9/11 is not the most effective measure. Just fund the Republican Party, the number one terrorist entity on the fucking planet. Number two is the Democrats, for sure, okay? But number one is still the Republicans. If you want to destroy this fucking country, just vote for the Republicans. That's it. If you want to destroy the planet, vote for the Republican Party. Number one terrorist of all time, okay? Number one at terrorism. Number one at melting the working class. Number one at fucking doing giant redistribution policies for the tippy top of American society. It's cool, man. We'll get 1,000 new billionaires in the process, That'll be fine. ICE has more money than the Marines in this bill, but it will allow them to fully wage war on internal enemies. Secret police picking up people everywhere, citizen or not. Oh, for sure. That is the major goal. It is a massive funding vehicle for ICE, Trump's Gestapo, Trump's secret police. These guys also love that part of the bill. Damn, BBB pass. One of the biggest overlooked things I haven't seen many people talk about in regards to grad plus loans being taken away and students, pushing students without rich parents into predatory private loans if they can even get them. I'm pushing towards residency, and this admin is really fucking over the country, exacerbating the physician shortage even with this even more. The BBB is the big, beautiful bill, is the name that Trump gave it, okay? There's so much in this thing, dude. Chat, ICE is getting, with this bill, ICE is getting direct appropriations to the tune of $30 billion with a B, okay? $30 billion. On top of that, with the additional expenditures to all Customs and Border Patrol, okay, whether it be state expenditures, whether it be detention expenditures, or whether it be additional funding for immigration courts and immigration detention centers, the total number goes up to $175 billion. Okay? With the new appropriations for Customs and Border Protection, CBP, immigration courts, detention expansion, and state-level border assistance, the bill and its immigration enforcement budget totals $175.155 billion with a fucking B, okay? With a B. Please understand how psychotic this is. The budget will give, once again, $175 billion to immigration enforcement broadly. This puts CBP, Customs and Border Patrol, and American immigration enforcement, okay, at a higher budget than, I think, virtually every other country's military. This makes it the most expensive law enforcement apparatus on the planet. This makes it like this is more than the GDP of nation states. One must ask the question why this much funding is necessary. Because the real story here, yeah, China is around 250 billion. Okay, calm down. Like, yes, of course. China is also multiple times larger than the United States of America. It would make ICE the 8th largest military by expenditure on Earth, ahead of France, To put that number into context, Bernie's free college costs around $70 to $90 billion a year. Free college tuition. This is genocidal level funding. The reason why they're doing this, you have to understand, the reason why they're doing this is because they are gearing up for ethnic cleansing, okay, internally. That is the point. The major hurdle, as I have said time and time again, for ICE deportations, like mass deportations like the ones that we've seen so far, which at a very limited capacity, even though it's still harrowing, it's still awful, was the major hurdle against that was literally not the lack of ambition, but instead logistics. There isn't enough places to put, enough concentration camps to put the people that are being grabbed and detained. And this will not stay. Just like I said, there is no world where they're like grabbing all undocumented migrants that are criminals or whatever, because there aren't that many criminal migrants in this country, right? Because the criminal migrants that do heinous crimes, they get prosecuted and they go to prison. Like the notion that, oh, if you're fucking undocumented and you do a crime, you get away with it. Like, that's bullshit. That's made up. Trump has lied about that over and over and over again. So I told you that they were going to go after regular migrant workers that have the proper authorization to work on U.S. soil right now, and they have been. They've been going after migrants that have been checking in with ICE, that ICE knows exactly where they live. ICE knows exactly where they work. They've been going after as many people as they possibly can because they want to make a show of force. But a big part of the issue here is simply the lack of funding. They don't have enough people to do mass apprehensions all around the country. They do not have enough facilities to place people into after doing mass apprehensions all across the country. And now this bill creates a funding vehicle to do that. Watch this space. It is one of the most important parts of the right-wing reactionary fascist agenda. Everything is funneled through immigration enforcement for them because it is the one area that the executive office has more authority over. So if you use immigration enforcement as the driving vehicle of your internal military, your secret police force, you can get away with a lot more unconstitutional shit while still simultaneously eroding what remains of constitutional protections to begin with. And eventually, they are going to go after political dissidents as well. First, they're going to go after every single undocumented migrant that whose immigration status has been in limbo. Then they'll go after DACA. Then they will start denaturalizing people. First, if you've been naturalized as a citizen in the past 5 years, you're probably first to go, right? Then 10 years. Then eventually they will call into question any American citizen's citizenship status and inevitably move on to natural-born U.S. citizens as well. If this does not stop, that is where it will go. And it won't be because these people are, heinous criminals or whatever, even though that is what the Trump administration will keep saying over and over again. It will be because all of these people will be considered political dissidents, a danger, a threat to American national security. A lot of people look at the aftermath of Nazi Germany's violence and they go, oh, well, you can't compare this to the Holocaust. Like, what are you talking about? Not realizing that the denaturalization process was legal in Nazi Germany, okay? The remigration process and the removal of people's citizenship was a part of this, and the messaging was exactly the fucking same. Trump's budget just passed the Senate, braced for a massive increase in ICE raids. The budget gives $175 million to immigration enforcement. The orders of magnitude are going to be multiplied, immigration experts say. Mass immigration enforcers have swept through American cities in the months since President Donald Trump took office, using flashbangs during restaurant sweeps, slamming people's heads into the ground, violently arresting gardeners on video. Oh, did I say million? Sorry, 175 billion with a B. Apologies. 175 billion with a B. This is the distance in each direction from Alligator Alcatraz to a hospital capable of doing anything beyond stitches and a Tylenol. Holy fuck. How is that even possible? Oh, it's like right here, smack dab in the middle. So it's either 155 kilometers or 50 kilometers to Hialeah. This is going to be a death camp. Okay? This is going to be an immigrant detention center that will be remembered as like the American Auschwitz, I think. It's basically tents in the middle of a Florida summer. Benny Johnson is flexing like it's a fucking fantastic thing. I don't think anybody realizes how impressive Alligator Alcatraz is. The state of Florida built this 3,000-bed federal prison in 8 days. The director tells me it could have been done in 72 hours were it not for some regulatory holdups. Now all the state needs is DOJ approval to deputize the National Guard as deportation judges, and this will become the most efficient deportation center in American history. One hurricane, and they're all dead. If they don't get eaten by the fucking alligators. Okay? You understand that, right? The president says he's looking into spending federal money in part to put sharks in the San Francisco Bay. What? Oh. It's all aesthetics for these fucking losers. And once again, Trump is going after American citizens next. It's not going to stay with just non-citizens, okay? Here
I'd like to say, a little controversial, but I couldn't care less. We have a lot of bad criminals that came into this country, and they came in stupidly. It was an unforced error. It was an incompetent president that allowed it to happen. It was an auto pen maybe that allowed it to happen, and it did happen. But we also have a lot of bad people that have been here for a long time. People that whack people over the head with a baseball bat from behind when they're not looking and kill them. People that knife you when you're walking down the street. They're not new to our country. They're old to our country. Many of them were born in our country. I think we ought to get them the hell out of here, too. You want to know the truth. So maybe that'll be the next.
This is, I need you to understand something, okay? Once this is implemented, it's fucking over, okay? Like, every single step being taken in this direction is not because there is a real need or a necessity for this kind of step being taken. It's for a larger project, okay? And the larger project is identical to what the Nazis did, okay? The larger project is identical to what the Nazis did. Eventually, taking away the citizenship status and making American citizens stateless, okay? Obviously, you start off by claiming you're going after criminals. And a lot of Americans have no interest in thinking about this and assuming that this is like an unreasonable step. They will go along with it. They will say, oh, yeah, well, what? You want rapists to stay in the country? Fuck them. Not realizing that once you can denaturalize American nationals, American citizens, it will not stay with criminals. This is also, obviously ridiculous to do to American criminals to begin with, but it is a logical conclusion to reactionary ideology, because if you think the only solution to crime is more and more severe deterrence measures, more and more severe penalties, then yeah, of course you're going to fucking take away people's citizenship. What do you mean? You should kill them, right? Like, that's the whole point. Brother, you're projecting, bro. Is this manipulation? Do you not hear what his words are? You are literally listening, instead of listening to my warnings, you are looking at this unprecedented and unconstitutional move, and you're saying exactly what I'm saying. Well, people will say in defense of this. Why would you ever believe what Trump has said? He said that they were going to target rapist, murderer, drug dealer criminals, and they haven't done that, because all of the rapist, drug dealer, murderer criminals have already been fucking targeted in every single administration prior to the Trump administration. They're already in the prison system, dumb fuck, which is why they're going after regular ass people at the job sites. Okay? People that have the proper authorization to be on U.S. soil, but their immigration status is constantly kept in a state of limbo. What happened there? Do you think it's drug dealer, rapist, murderers that are working at the fucking car wash, at the local car wash? Is that what you think is going on? No. So Trump actually lied about that, I guess. And in the process, the administration is going after people who already have legal status to be in the country too. What is your answer to this? Do you ever get sad about how your peers don't feel the urgency you and your community feels about this? I get more sad about the fact that many Americans are fucking sleepwalking as we are moving in the direction of full tilt fascism.